Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar with FME and Migration Center, the leading provider in content migration services and products. Today we are presenting a very special life sciences topic with the title Importing eTMFs from CROs and Automatically Restructuring the Content with Migration Center. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. Please note that all attendees are muted during the whole session. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel per default on your right-hand side. I'll bring them up in a dedicated Q&A session at the end. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our speakers for today and then directly hand over to get started. Our first presenter today is Florian Piaszekensen, our Director of FME Products. In addition, Günther Schneider, one of our life sciences experts, will share his experience regarding today's topic. And with this, let me hand over to Florian to dive right into this webinar.
Hi, this is Günther. I would like to do the introduction of FME. Thank you, Mark, for this introduction. So, FME is partner of the life science industry for more than 20 years. FME's core competency is content migration, system integration, technical and business consulting, and focusing on content management, BI, social collaboration, and software development. 250 FME employees are delivering these services to Europe and North America. FME offices are located in Germany, Romania, and in the US. In all of our projects, we want to achieve a very simple goal. It's FME you love to work with. Next slide, please. FME is the established leader and trusted advisor providing best practice solution to the life science industry in areas as clinical, quality, and regulatory information management. 9 of the top 10 global life science companies and 35 of the top 50 global life science companies are using FME's Migration Center. Next slide, please. The majority of these companies are using FME's migration centers, are using FME migration services too. FME is proud about the 100% success rate in migration projects. All migration projects are following FME's risk elimination POC methodology. This is how the risk elimination POC methodology works. FME is analyzing the types of documents which should be migrated. Based on this analysis, FME selects the most critical documents for the use in the risk elimination POC. FME performs 2 to 3 dry runs in migrating these critical documents. The customers and FME get an understanding about the best way to migrate the documents. This minimizes the technical and the risks and guarantees a smooth migration. The result of this approach is that all projects have been delivered in time and in budget. Why do I talk about migration while the title of this webinar is Importing eTMFs from CROs and Automatically Restructuring the Content with Migration Center? Long and complex title. An import of an eTMF is always a complex migration project too. That's the reason why we are talking about migration, even if it's an import of an eTMF and restructuring, of course. With this, I'm handing over to Florian. Questions I'm going to answer at the end of the webinar. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Günther. Thank you, Mark, for the short introduction of FME and the housekeeping for this webinar. So my name is Florian. So I will guide you today to the main topic. That's the clinical data exchange and import. So, I will just start right away. So as you all know, in order to comply with the government regulatory requirements, nearly every organization involved in a clinical trial must maintain or store certain documents, images, and content related to a trial. Depending on the regulatory restriction, this information may be stored in an electronic trial master file. So our clients often report challenges, especially with exchanging eTMFs with other clinical documents with multiple contract research organizations. These challenges are not related just to the exchange process, but also to the import, and in some cases to the general process of managing electronic trial master files within the organization. But however, let's have a closer look to the challenges we often hear from our customers. So the first main issue our customers see is the exchange of the eTMF documents or of the eTMFs with multiple CROs. So typically, those CROs exchanging data with the sponsors based on various platforms or medias. Some of those data are unstructured or just semi-structured, but very often not provided in a format which can be used directly for an import into the clinical application based, for example, on Viva, on Documentum, or other life science solutions. The provided set of metadata differs in the attribute names as well as in the values, and usually doesn't fit the metadata structure of our client's application. So that means a transformation and mapping is often required before import the data into the corresponding application. For example, CROs exchanging data with sponsors on applications like enterprise content management systems, databases, or on file servers like FTP server, cloud or collaboration platforms, or simply on DVDs. Sometimes the metadata are provided in an XML structure or in a CSV file, as an object in an application or based on folders. We have seen many different scenarios at our clients, and in many cases, our clients are not just dealing with one of the mentioned scenarios, they're dealing with many, because they're working together with multiple CROs for different kind of trials. So, and the bottom line is there's simply no unified exchange format available or implemented yet. Just to give you an example of a real life scenario at one of our clients, these documents are based on file share. So there's the document itself plus an XML metadata file, which represents the metadata or the attributes for the corresponding document. So keep that example in mind, because we will focus later on in our demo exactly on this case to give you a really quick, let's say, sneak peek into our product. So, as mentioned, the exchange documents and metadata are usually not based on a unified exchange format, and therefore an additional step is required before the data are ready for the import into an eTMF application. To transform, map, and import data, sponsors are using manual or semi-automatic processes, sometimes by creating individual scripts or tools. This approach, of course, is very ineffective in terms of cost and results in a high error ratio and lead to unnecessary delays. Last but not least, in some cases, the processes are based on old established paradigms, even though modern tools are used. eTMF systems used by our clients are maybe modern, but the eTMF process haven't changed much over the time. And some of the new systems are just digital emulations of a paper-based TMF. So new regulations saddled with old ideas is the major reason why the time to market of drugs continues to be over a decade, even though the rapid development in technology. It's like old wine in new bottles. So yeah, but how can we help you with our service and product to solve this problem? So as Günther mentioned, we have been supporting many clients in the life science industries over 20 years with our products and services. Based on our experience around eTMF and the process behind, We offer everything from just the product to full service to enhance the critical data exchange and import process. The first item we have is our product, which is the full content migration platform, which comes without any programming or scripting effort. It's a real out-of-the-box solution for over 160 different migration passes and supports almost all common features like versions, states, permissions, audit trails, attributes, relations, and many more. We provide also a rule-based transformation capability, which is powerful and flexible as a normal programming language, but without writing any lines of code. Everything is based on configuration, and all functions are pre-tested, of course. In addition, Migration Center provides many reports and is also certified by leading ECM vendors. Together with our artificial intelligence-based auto-classification module, we're also able to use your existing data to integrate new content into your system automatically. This module will automatically set the corresponding metadata to your content without defining any transformation rules at all. Beside our huge stack of functionality, Migration Center has also been implemented a migration process, which supports user to execute migrations or import scenarios. This process is, of course, also very valuable in terms of importing CRO data into your system. But let me explain the different steps. So first of all, we have the first step, which is the analyze and extract step or phase. So in this phase, we're connecting through the application, doesn't matter if it's a database, a file share, or a content management system, and extracting all required information from the system, including the documents. So based on that information, the user can start the analysis of those metadata and structure. Doesn't matter what kind of format for the metadata are provided. If it's an XML, a CSV file, if it's a database, the migrations don't care about it. So because all documents and objects is stored in a unified way into our product. So the next phase is the organization phase. Here we build different migration sets. In this case, for example, based on the CRO and the different exchange sets to organize the migration more effectively. So the third step is to transform a map. So in this case, for example, you see the extracted objects with the source attributes like the country code, DE, with the DIA version, with the authority, and with the approval date. So, and within the transformation, you just configure how to map and how to create the new metadata for the target system. After this transformation, for example, you see that we map the country code, DE, to the country Germany. And also we add a new attribute, for example, the CRO, CROB. And we just simply copy the approval date from the source object to the transformed object. So the fourth step is the validation. So during the validation, Migration Center automatically detects errors based on the attributes. So that means, for example, if an invalid date is used, as here in this example, so that means there is a character instead of a date. So a Migration Center immediately shows you certain errors based on that validation phase. So if you detect any kind of errors, automatically Migration Center will loops you into a correction loop to let's say to upgrade your transformation model and fix that problem. After you upgrade your transformation model, you just simply execute the transformation on that error documents again and validate the new results through the target system. So if all documents are in a validated state, you can easily import the different migration sets into the target system like Viva or Documentum, or just back to the file share if you want to. So, and at the end, of course, you can also generate validation and import reports. So, even to the best tool, I mean, you need also best practice methodologies and the deep process knowledge, We have a highly educated life science team available to introduce an approach and migration center to handle those clinical data exchange scenarios. We offer everything from analyzing and planning to proof of concept, support, remote training, quality assurance and validation, monitoring, reporting, installation and configuration, all around our product to solve challenges during the clinical data exchange. But at the end, also a best practice methodology is needed. So, and our best practice consists of 7 main steps. It starts with an optional technology and process review phase. In this phase, our team reviews the current state of your systems and of course of the processes, and provide at the end a recommendation to optimize your eTMF management. The second phase is focusing on the required classification schema to import the clinical documents to your system. Based on templates, we provide a clear classification reference for all incoming CRO data. To onboard a new CRO to the process, in the next step, we analyze the exchange format in terms of the structure, the metadata, and the formats, etc., and map the CRO classification and structure to the defined classification reference. And this results in a classification concept or guideline for each individual CRO. So in the next phase, our team will configure the product and define the transformation templates according to the classification concept per CRO. These templates are reusable for each CRO data import in the upcoming phases. So the next 3 phases will be executed for each individual exchange data set. In the transformation phase, the exchange data are transformed and mapped based on the predefined templates. This new metadata are validated against the required target system structure and classification in the validation phase. And finally, in the import phase, the new documents were imported and created into the clinical application. For all these phases, Migration Center provides a common set of reports, which are available for your validation documentation and ensure the full traceability of the imported data sets. Based on that mentioned approach, we provide predefined packages of services and products. Our clients can individually decide which package are most suitable and fits best for these requirements. We offer everything just from the product to the service. For example, our empowerment service enables our clients to onboard CROs to the process and execute the forthcoming imports by themselves. With our implementation service, we provide a package to support you during the import or simply execute the whole import for you. With our end-to-end service, we provide a full package of service plus product on a fixed price, time material, or managed service basis. And finally, for our clients who are having resources to manage the process by themselves, we are also providing just the product, including support and product training. So it's all up to you which option you favor. We are here to support you as best as possible to optimize your CRO data exchange scenarios. So that was in general overview about our offerings. And now I want to get into this topic a little bit deeper by showing you a quick demo of our product. So as I mentioned, so this is the real life example I showed you before. So again, I will just make sure that you understand the structure here. So we have on the left-hand side, we have a folder structure which includes documents and XML metadata files. So it's always a pair of 2 documents. So as you can see, there are many different attributes available in this XML schema. So in exactly this case, I like to show you in the next demo, but keep in mind it will be just a quick demo because of the time. So let me go out from that presentation mode and open Migration Center and the source folder. So here we have an eTMF document set, as I mentioned. So there are several documents and the corresponding metadata in an XML file. So let me open a document. For example, here is the Word document. So with some information, and to that we have also the XML file. You see a lot of different attributes like for example the DIA version number, the domain, etc., etc. So there are many attributes available here in that XML file. So now I like to show you how to analyze and extract this information from those files. So for that, I just go to the functionality of our scanners. The scanner means we analyzing and extracting the information from the XML file and store all this information into our product. So let me open a pre-configured setting here. So I called it clinical data exchange and import for a file system scanner. So you can choose the different adapter types. So adapter types are mainly the connectors to the different systems. This could be also, you can also use a Documentum connector, you can use a SharePoint connector. So it's really up to you. So as I mentioned, we provide in total more than 160 different migration passes. So that's always the combination from source to target. So, and based on every adapter, so you will see different configuration for those adapters. So for example, the most important one at the file system adapter is, of course, the file system path. So it can be just a drive letter, but also an eTMF folder path if necessary. So and then there is a couple of other functionalities. For example, calculate a hash sum of the content and so on and so forth. So there are many different capabilities available. So, but for now, it's enough to just specify the folder path. So if I'm done with this configuration, I just simply click on Run, and you will see immediately that the scanner runs and scroll all the documents located in the file system. So now this process is done, and I can have just a short look to the history. So as you can see here, that's the first run to scan that particular folder, and there are 32 objects scanned. So I have also the chance to immediately have a look into the collected metadata for each single document. So as you can see here, there's the document path which has been scanned, and if I scroll to the right, so I see all the metadata we collected from the file share, of course, but also from the XML file. Here you see, for example, the ACL name, you see, for example, the application description, the application numbers, you see also the different artifacts, the status, the author of this document, and so on and so forth. So all the metadata provided by the CRO are just, let's say, stored within our Migration Center database. So, and of course, I can also pull some reports out from here if I want to. So I can just export it into a CSV file and analyze the data more in detail, or share that information with the business. So there are many options available at this point. Okay, so that's the first step. So analyze and extracting the data. So the next step would be to create the migration sets. So this is the organization phase. And for that, I also prepared a migration set already. So just let me open the configuration here. So I called it also again, clinical data exchange and import. So the documents should go from the file system to a D2 application in that case. And the only thing I have to do now is just to select the documents which I have already scanned during the analyze and extraction phase. So then I just can simply select those objects for this migration set. And as you can see here now, so there are total objects are 32, and unprocessed objects are also 32. So that means nothing happened so far. That's just the let's say the initial state of the migration set. So the next step, so that was the organize phase. The next step is to set up the transformation engine or using some templates. In this case, I just created a let's say a general setup for the transformation rule, and I like to show you how to add new attributes or using mapping lists and stuff like that. So for that, I click just on transform edit transformation rules. So, and the first what I like to show you is how this panel is designed. So first of all, we have the different attributes. That's all the target attributes. I created a few for you already. So we have some system attributes, which is needed by the target system itself, but we will not go too much into detail now. So, and we have mapping list, and we have different functions, and this functions is the, let's say, the flexible piece of our product. So we provide many different functions which can be combined into a transformation rule. We have functions like, for example, concatenate. We have functions like get data from an SQL database, so to integrate external data sources. We can just copy a source attribute to a target attribute. We can extract information from a file path. We can map data. We can replace strings, for example, by a regular expression, and so on and so forth. So it's very flexible. But now let me show how easy it is to create a new attribute. I will create a new attribute, and I just use authors as a new attribute. And the only thing I like to do here is I like to copy the authors from the XML file directly into this new authors attribute. For that, I just use the simplest function we have. It's get attribute, and I select the source attribute and just select the XML authors attribute at this point. So then I say okay, and done. So that means all the authors are copied automatically into the new attribute authors for the target application. So the next point, let's say transformation I like to show you quickly is the mapping functionality, and for that I will show you the region mapping. So first of all, this is the list. I mean, there are just two entries in that list. I mean, you can extend that with as many entries as you like. You can also import CSV files or Excel lists into that. So there are many options to import those key value lists. But for now, just to give you a sneak peek into the product, so you can see here there is an EU and the UK, and the resulting values are Europe and United Kingdom. So in this region attribute, I just simply select the function map value. And for that, let me open this configuration. And for this function, I need first the source attribute. And the source attribute is again an XML attribute coming from this XML file, which calls XML_regions. And I use the region mapping definition, which I have showed you in the mapping list panel. So that's all, and then I save this information again. So I can also create some very interesting rules. For example, review date. So in this particular rule, I just extract the date from the XML file. It's the XML review date attribute, and add 1 year on top of this date. So that means it's not 2019, the review date, it's 2020. So that means I can also manipulate, for example, dates if I want to. That's really helpful, especially if I have any kind of retention policies applied. Okay, so that's all for now in terms of the configuration of our transformation engine. I mean, we can combine any kind of functions to a very complex transformation rule if you like. But now let me show how to use that rule, or how to execute the transformation. For that, I simply click on OK and click on Apply Transformation. And what you can see now is immediately the 32 documents, unprocessed documents, jumps into the transformed state. And from here on, I can just say, okay, show me this processed objects or documents. And what you can see here now is the result. So that means the new metadata for the target system. For example, the status, but also, for example, let's go to the authors. Here we go. Second. So, or let's go to the origin. You can see the original origin. I can also show you the source attribute at this point. The original origin here should be you. All right, 1 second. I need to go down all the way up here. So the origin was you in the original XML metadata file, and it's now mapped to Europe. Also, for example, the authors are automatically set, as you can see here. It's just a one-by-one mapping in that case. But also here, you can just simply create a mapping list and map the different, let's say, the authors to some, let's say, authors you have specified in your system. And just to show you the review date, for example, here we go, the review date. Let's open again the source attributes, and let's go back down to the review date. Here you see the original review date was the 24th of July 2019, and now it's the 24th July of 2020. So we just add the new year to the review date within the transformation rule engine. So, and this is the way how you can manipulate easily your metadata and map the metadata, the classification which comes from the CRO to your corresponding classification schema in your clinical application. So now the next step is to validate this new metadata against the target system. So, and for that, I just click on apply validation, and again, immediately the documents jumps to the validated state section. So now the documents are validated, and it seems there are no errors. No errors happen during the validation. But just to show you how Migration Center reacts in case of errors, I will just reset this transformation and validation phase. The documents are now again in the unprocessed state, and I will just go back to the Edit Transformation Rule section, and for example, take the creation date and add some wrong information into that attribute. So let's say A, B, C. And then I apply this transformation, and I apply the transformation and validation again. And what you can see now, all the documents jumps into an error state. So to view the errors, I can just simply say, okay, show me the error objects, and I see, okay, there's a processing message which says, okay, there's something wrong within the transformation. So, and I can just scroll to the, let's say, red marked attributes, and as you can see here, it's not a valid date format now. So, and to correct this kind of errors, I just can go back to reset all errors, go back to the transformation rule engine, go, and fix that error again, apply the schema, and run the validation and transformation again. So now all the documents are in a validated state and ready for import. By the way, in every phase, you can easily export the metadata, the new metadata, and information about the objects and documents in a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet to share that information with the business owners if you want to. You're really flexible in this, and you can also, if there are some errors or some missing attributes, you can also just let the business fill out an Excel spreadsheet and fix the errors, for example, or the missing attributes, and integrate this information also into the process, into the import process. Okay, so finally, when the documents are in a validated state, the next step would be the import. So we will not show you today an import into Documentum. I just want to mention what kind of, let's say, connectors we have available for you. So there are many different connectors. There's Documentum, Weaver, D2 LifeScience, FirstDoc, SharePoint. You can also just import the documents back to the file share, to Box, to SharePoint Online, to Info Archive, whatsoever. So we providing many different connectors to many different systems. And depends on the selected systems. For example, let's say I will just use D2 as the target platform. So again, I got a couple of configurations like the username and password I like to use to import, the repository name, and I have a couple of other checkboxes, for example, to say import the objects. If I have relations, I can import the relations and outer trails, and so on and so forth. Also for D2 LifeScience, I can just apply the auto naming, the auto linking, LifeScience, the LifeScience states and stuff like that. So everything is supported here in that single product. I can also set up the threads I want to use during the imports, and so on and so forth. So that's the way how to configure. And finally, when I'm done with the configuration, I just simply select my migration set. And in this case, that's the clinical data exchange and import set to this corresponding import configuration, and just click on OK. So there are some mandatory fields are missing, of course. I just cancel it. And then the last step you have to do is just to click on Run. So, and then automatically Migration Center will create the objects within Documentum, within Weaver, within SharePoint, with the corresponding new metadata attached. So, and that's the way how it works. And also, we have a couple of other features available in the product, like schedulers. You can also fully automate this kind of process. Migration Center is also able to detect changes in the folder or in another system. So that means if new documents are attached or metadata of a document has been changed, so automatically Migration Center can analyze this changed data and upgrade the data into your target system based on your configured process. So also a couple of other reports available to really have a kind of, let's say, report available for your validation documentation to make the whole process really traceable. And also there is a migration audit trail available, which shows you exactly what's happened during the whole process. So that means, for example, where the document came from, which kind of metadata were provided by the CRO, and what was the final, let's say, set of metadata which has been imported into, for example, Documentum or Weaver or so on. Okay, yeah, this was the very quick demo of our product. And now let me go back to the slide deck and hand over to Mark again.
Thank you, Günther. Thank you, Florian, for the presentation. As promised, we will shortly approach our Q&A session, but before that, let me give you just one slide focused on our websites and upcoming events. We have 3 websites. Our product website is migration-center.com. For our services within Germany and Europe in general, you can go to fme.de, and for our North American clients, customers, you can go to fme-us.com. And on our migration-center.com website, you will find all the information Florian and Günther just gave you in much more detail. This could be our product features, success stories from some of our customers. You can see our service portfolio regarding migration services, and you can also find some of our past webinars displaying different use cases, different migration paths and target platforms. And you can also find a blog on content migration, of course. And most importantly, we offer a free trial version, so-called free evaluation copy, and you can just request it by going on our website and look for the pop-up on your right-hand side. And for the upcoming events, we have another webinar approaching, which is focused on the decommissioning part and with the title Proper ECM Decommissioning to OpenText Info Archive with Migration Center. And that webinar is an OpenText partner webinar and will be conducted on October 24th, 11 a.m. EST and 5 p.m. CET. And right now, just a few days ago, we started our year-end offering, which consists of the first year of support free of charge for all new perpetual licenses ordered starting today until the 31st of December 2019. And this first year free of charge results in a 22% discount. So if you are already talking to some of our colleagues, mention that discount and we'll make sure to mark you down. With that being said, great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time. And always remember, it's FME and Migration Center you love to work with. Have a great day, and bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.